Hey guys, welcome back to Critical Flick. Today I'll be reviewing the first two episodes of Masters of the Air, now streaming on Apple TV+. The Masters of the Air is from the same people who brought us Band of Brothers in the Pacific, and I was really excited to check this one out because I love those two series. I love the history of World War II. I think it has some of the best stories in human history, and this series has not disappointed so far. This series is based on a novel and is about the 100th Bomb Group and their missions over Germany and over Europe during World War II, and kind of the brutality, intensity, and danger of those missions, and I think they really capture that. In the first episode, we're really introduced to some of our main characters. We have Austin Butler playing Major Clevin, and then Major Egan played by Callum Turner. They play two best friends that actually kind of share the same nickname. They got Bucky and Buck, and they've kind of given it to one another. It's kind of a funny back and forth between these two characters. It has this kind of lighthearted tone, which is kind of setting up the naive nature of these young men not being fully thrown into combat yet. They still feel like they're on top of the world. They feel like, they can take on anything, and we'll slowly get to see that in the second episode that, war is horrible, war is hell, and these characters get to feel that and understand that, and these young men are being molded by the events around them, creating some really powerful moments, particularly in the second episode. As far as the performances, I do think they're very solid so far. We have Butler playing a more reserved and calm and collective character, while you have Callum Turner playing a more rough and tumble and bombastic character, and kind of the clashes between those two. It kind of comes to a head further on, but in this initial first couple episodes, we really get to see kind of them working off of one another and trying to level out one another, and I think that's something that will continue through the series and help develop these characters more and more. I also enjoyed Anthony Boyle's performance as Major Crosby. He plays someone who really feels like he's in over his head. He feels like kind of not this heroic character like the other two, but someone who is really struggling to adapt to his position. He has air sickness. He's trying to be the best navigator that he can be, but he really is struggling, and we get to see him kind of be the hero in the second episode, and I enjoyed that storyline, and I think that had some of the best tension so far in the series. Them trying to get back from their bomb run, and them struggling to get back to the coastline, and just that full tension of them being in the air. And I think that's something the series has done extremely well, is that tension. Even in the first episode, when they're not even in combat, just the difficulty of flying these planes and how just the littlest thing can go wrong. And it really does focus on not just the human stories like we've seen before in these other series, but really on the aviation and the difficulty and the technology behind it. And I think it makes it that much more engrossing and that much more all-encompassing, is that you're thrown into these flying fortresses that, can be taken down by shrapnel, and they take so many bullet holes, and so many bad things can happen. And speaking of anything that can happen, there is some brutality to it. There's some gore that doesn't really shy away from showing the horrors of what happens during these bomb runs. In the second episode, we get to see some of our characters, particularly Austin Butler's character, not understand what he was getting himself into, and then having to come to grips with the reality of losing his friends and having all these terrible losses as they barely limp back to England. And I think that juxtaposition of having characters that are struggling with adapting to the horrors of war, or those becoming jaded to the horrors of war, is something that will really help elevate this series moving forward. Those two types of personalities trying to work together and coming to grips to kind of the horror that they've been thrown into. As far as the visuals, I think the production design is fantastic. The costuming, the sets, they all look very, very good. The aerial combat is fantastic. Like I said, it is extremely tension-filled, but I think it looks really good. The sound design, the German planes whizzing in and out, trying to take down these planes, them trying to get into formation, and really focusing on the actual aviation techniques and talking through what they're doing and how they're doing it, I think made it, like I said, that much more engrossing. I'm really thrown into this story and feeling like this is happening. It's based on reality. It doesn't feel like a over-the-top, ridiculous kind of rah-rah story. It feels like reality. So those are my quick thoughts on the first two episodes of Masters of the Air. If you end up checking this one out, let me know what you thought about it. I'm really excited to continue watching this series going forward. Like I said, I love this kind of content. I love these stories. So let me know what you thought about in the comments below. So thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and see you guys next time.